Success is something almost everyone dreams about, yet very few people truly understand how it works. Most spend years chasing it, believing that if they run fast enough or work hard enough, one day they will finally catch it. But what if the truth is completely different? What if success is never meant to be chased at all? The reality is that success is drawn toward certain kinds of people. It naturally follows those who grow into someone worthy of it, and that simple shift in thinking can completely change the direction of your life. Many people spend their lives searching for the perfect opportunity, the perfect connection, or the perfect moment to finally become successful. They believe that success lives somewhere outside of themselves, waiting to be discovered. But the real journey starts within. The person you choose to become is far more important than the goals you are trying to reach, because success is attracted to character long before it is attracted to achievements. You may wonder what it actually means to become someone who naturally attracts success. It begins with shaping your character, improving your daily habits, and building a mindset that refuses to stay average. Success is drawn toward qualities like discipline, honesty, perseverance, generosity, and a constant desire to grow. People who improve themselves every day become magnets for opportunities because they create value wherever they go. One of the biggest differences between successful people and everyone else is that successful people live with intention. They know exactly where they are going instead of simply hoping life will work out somehow. They don't leave their future to chance because they understand that direction gives every action a purpose. That is why having clear goals is absolutely essential. You cannot expect success to find you if you don't even know where you want your life to go. Many people drift through life without any real destination, then become frustrated when nothing remarkable happens. The truth is that success rarely visits people who are wandering without purpose. It usually finds those who know exactly what they want and are willing to earn it. Every worthwhile goal demands a price. That price is paid through time, focused effort, discipline, sacrifice, and the willingness to continue moving forward even when progress feels slow. Nothing valuable comes without investment, and the people who understand this stop searching for shortcuts because they know lasting success is built one decision at a time. Ask yourself an honest question. If someone asked where you want to be 5 years from now, could you answer with confidence? Would your vision be specific enough to inspire action, or would your response be uncertain and vague? Clear goals create clear actions, and clear actions eventually create meaningful results. When your destination is defined, every decision becomes easier to make. You begin recognizing opportunities that once seemed invisible because your mind is focused on a purpose instead of distractions. The road will still have obstacles, but uncertainty will no longer control your choices because you know exactly what you are working toward. That doesn't mean the journey suddenly becomes easy. In reality, the path to success is often filled with setbacks, disappointments, and moments that test your patience. But every difficult season serves a purpose. Challenges are not placed in your life to destroy your dreams. They exist to strengthen your character and prepare you for greater responsibilities. The larger your dreams become, the greater the obstacles will appear. Instead of fearing those obstacles, learn to welcome them as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Every challenge you overcome increases your confidence and transforms you into someone capable of handling even greater success in the future. There was a time when life looked completely different for me. At 25 years old, I had almost nothing to my name. My bank account was empty, my pockets were empty, and my future seemed uncertain. It would have been easy to blame my circumstances, accept defeat, and believe that success belonged to other people instead of me. Then one conversation changed everything. I met a mentor named Mr. Schoaf, and during one of our discussions he shared a lesson that completely reshaped the way I looked at life. He told me that if I wanted my circumstances to improve, I first had to improve myself. If I wanted better results, I had to become a better person. Those words forced me to face a truth I had been avoiding. I had been waiting for life to change, expecting my circumstances to magically become better one day. But the real problem wasn't my situation. The real problem was the person I had become, and at the same time, that meant I also held the solution. From that day forward, I stopped waiting and started growing. I read books that expanded my thinking, attended seminars that challenged my beliefs, searched for mentors who could teach me, and invested every possible hour into improving my mindset, my knowledge, and my habits. Progress didn't happen overnight, but little by little my life began changing because I was changing first. As I developed myself, opportunities that never existed before suddenly started appearing. I met different people, discovered new possibilities, and found doors opening where there had once been walls. Nothing around me changed by accident. My world changed because I became someone capable of seeing and creating better opportunities. This is the principle that many people overlook. Success is not something you chase across the world. It is something that naturally moves toward the person you are becoming every single day. When your character improves, your habits improve. When your habits improve, your results improve. And when your results improve consistently, success begins searching for you instead of the other way around. That if you truly want to become someone who attracts success, then your habits are where everything either begins to rise or slowly falls apart. Many people underestimate this, but your daily routines quietly decide the direction of your entire future. You can have strong dreams and powerful intentions, but if your habits are not aligned with those dreams, you will always feel stuck between where you are and where you want to be. Think about it like this. A person may say they want to become successful, but if their daily actions are filled with procrastination, distraction, and inconsistency, then their results will never match their desires. Success does not respond to intentions alone. It responds to repeated behavior. What you consistently do becomes who you are, whether you realize it or not. Successful people build habits that support their growth instead of blocking it. They read regularly, they plan their days with clarity, they take action even when motivation is low, and they constantly evaluate their progress. These are not random activities. They are intentional systems that shape their future step by step. One of the most important habits that separates successful people from others is consistency. Most people can do the right thing once or twice when they feel inspired, but inspiration is not reliable. It comes and goes. Consistency is what remains when motivation disappears. That is where real progress is built. It is easy to feel excited for a short period of time, maybe a few days or even a week. But the real challenge is staying committed when the excitement fades and life feels ordinary again. This is where most people quit, not because they cannot succeed, but because they cannot stay consistent long enough for success to develop. Success is never built on random effort. It is built on repeated discipline over time. Small actions, done every single day, eventually create results that look extraordinary from the outside, but from the inside, it is simply repetition, patience, and commitment. Alongside habits, your mindset plays an even deeper role in shaping your future. Your mindset is like the foundation of a building. If the foundation is weak, nothing stable can ever stand on it. In the same way, if your thinking is filled with doubt, fear, or limitation, your actions will always reflect those internal barriers. People often underestimate how powerful their thoughts are. If you constantly believe that you are not capable, your actions will naturally shrink to match that belief. But if you begin to believe that growth is possible, your behavior starts to shift in a completely different direction. This is why belief is so important. You do not need blind confidence, but you do need the willingness to believe that your future can be better than your present. Without that belief, there is no foundation for effort, persistence, or change. Everything starts with the internal decision that improvement is possible. There is a simple truth that shapes everything. If you believe you cannot change, you will remain the same. But if you believe you can grow, then growth becomes a natural direction for your life. Your mindset does not just influence your thoughts. It influences your identity, your decisions, and ultimately your results. Because of this, you must be careful about what you allow into your mind. Your thoughts are constantly being shaped by the environment around you. The people you listen to, the content you consume, and the conversations you engage in all leave an imprint on your thinking. If your environment is filled with negativity, doubt, and limitation, then your mindset will slowly adapt to that level. But if you expose yourself to ideas that inspire growth, discipline, and possibility, your thinking begins to expand naturally. Over time, your perspective on life starts to change. This is why learning is so important. Reading books, listening to mentors, and surrounding yourself with people who think differently can completely transform your direction. Your mind absorbs what it is repeatedly exposed to, and eventually, your actions begin to follow your thoughts. But mindset and habits are not the only factors that determine success. The people around you also play a powerful role in shaping your future. Relationships can either pull you upward or slowly drag you down without you even noticing it. That is why your environment matters more than most people realize. If you spend your time with people who lack direction, avoid growth, and settle for less, then that energy naturally begins to influence your thinking. Even if you have big goals, constant exposure to small thinking can slowly weaken your ambition over time. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who are driven, focused, and committed to growth, something powerful happens. Their mindset begins to influence yours. Their discipline encourages your discipline. Their standards raise your own standards. There is a well-known idea that says your future can often be predicted by the people you spend the most time with. This is not just a saying. It reflects a deep reality about human behavior. We naturally absorb the attitudes and habits of those around us. Because of this, you must be intentional about your circle. This does not mean you reject everyone in your life, but it does mean you become aware of who influences your thinking the most. You need relationships that challenge you, support your growth, and push you toward your potential. As you begin to grow personally, you may also notice that your relationships start to change. Some people may no longer connect with your direction, and that is a natural part of growth. Not everyone is meant to walk the same path as you forever. Growth often creates distance between old habits and new direction. This is not about judging others. It is about understanding that different people are moving toward different futures. Some will grow with you, and some will remain where they are. When you start to prioritize your growth, you naturally attract different types of relationships. People who value learning, progress, and ambition begin to enter your life. These relationships have a powerful impact because they reinforce the direction you are trying to build. Being around the right people can completely change your mindset. You begin to think bigger, act with more purpose, and believe in possibilities you may have once ignored. This is how environments shape success. They either limit you or expand you. At the end of the day, becoming someone who attracts success is not about one single change. It is about aligning your habits, your mindset, and your relationships in the same direction. When these three areas work together, your entire life begins to move differently. And once that alignment begins, success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something that starts moving toward you naturally. As you continue building yourself into someone who naturally attracts success, there comes a point where you start realizing something important. Your environment is not just physical, it is also mental and emotional. The way you think, the way you respond to challenges, and the people you allow into your life all combine to create the environment that shapes your future. And once you understand this, you stop seeing success as something distant and start seeing it as something you are actively building every day. One of the strongest influences on your growth is your circle of relationships. The people around you can either expand your thinking or quietly limit it without you even noticing. If you spend your time with individuals who have no goals, no direction, and no desire to improve, then over time that energy becomes familiar. You stop pushing yourself because the environment does not demand more from you. But when you surround yourself with people who are ambitious, focused, and committed to growth, your mindset begins to shift automatically. You start thinking in terms of possibility instead of limitation. You start believing that bigger goals are not only realistic but expected. This is how influence works. It silently shapes your standards. There is a powerful truth that many people ignore. You become a reflection of the people you consistently spend time with. Not immediately, but gradually, over time, your habits, your language, and even your mindset begin to mirror your environment. That is why choosing your circle is not a casual decision, it is a life-shaping decision. As you grow, you may also notice that some relationships no longer fit your direction. This is a natural part of personal development. Growth creates change, and change often creates distance. It does not mean those people are bad or wrong. It simply means your paths are no longer aligned in the same direction. One of the hardest parts of growth is accepting that not everyone will continue with you on your journey. Some people are comfortable where they are, and they are not interested in the path you are choosing. And that is okay. But you must understand that holding on to relationships that pull you backward can slow your progress significantly. Think of it like this: every relationship either lifts you or weighs you down. There is rarely a neutral effect. Some people encourage your growth, challenge your thinking, and push you forward. Others drain your energy, discourage your ambition, or keep you stuck in old patterns. The key is learning to recognize the difference. When I began focusing on my own growth, I noticed this shift very clearly. As I changed my habits, my mindset, and my goals, the people around me started to respond differently. Some naturally drifted away because our interests no longer aligned. Others began to show resistance toward the changes I was making in my life. At first, this can feel uncomfortable, but over time you begin to understand that growth requires change. You cannot become a new version of yourself while holding tightly to every old influence. Something has to shift. Either your environment changes, or your progress slows down. This is why mentors and role models are so important. When I met people who were already achieving the things I wanted in life, my entire perspective changed. I could see how they thought, how they made decisions, and how they handled challenges. It was no longer theory, it was real-life example. A mentor does not just give advice. A mentor expands your thinking. They show you what is possible by living proof, not just words. And when you are exposed to that level of thinking, your own mindset begins to stretch. You start realizing that your limits were never fixed, they were simply learned. Success leaves clues, and if you pay attention, you can follow those clues. You do not need to reinvent every process in life. You simply need to observe those who have already achieved what you want and learn from their patterns. Their discipline, their focus, and their consistency become a roadmap you can study and apply. This is where many people make a mistake. They try to figure everything out alone, believing that independence means doing everything without guidance. But true growth often comes from learning faster, not struggling longer. And learning faster requires exposure to the right people. When you place yourself in environments where growth is normal, your standards naturally rise. You begin to expect more from yourself. You begin to see discipline not as a struggle but as a requirement. And slowly, your behavior starts to match the environment you are part of. Another important part of attracting success is understanding the role of value. Success is not drawn to people who only think about themselves. It is drawn to people who contribute, solve problems, and create positive impact in the lives of others. Value is what makes you relevant in any space. When you become someone who consistently adds value, you stop chasing opportunities because opportunities start coming toward you. This is one of the most important shifts in mindset. Instead of asking what you can take from a situation, you begin asking what you can contribute. Every field, every industry, and every career rewards problem solvers. The more valuable your solutions are, the more opportunities naturally align with you. Success is not random, it follows contribution. When you help others grow, improve, or succeed, you automatically elevate your own position in life. But value is not only external. It is also internal. The way you carry yourself, your integrity, and your character all contribute to the value you bring into any environment. People trust those who are consistent, honest, and responsible. And trust is one of the strongest foundations for long-term success. There is a principle that often gets overlooked. The way you handle small things reveals how you will handle big things. If you are careless in small responsibilities, that pattern will eventually show up in larger opportunities. But if you develop discipline in the small areas of life, it naturally expands into bigger areas. This is why character matters so much. Skills can open doors, but character keeps them open. Without integrity, success becomes temporary. With integrity, success becomes sustainable. That is why the foundation of attracting success is not just talent or intelligence, it is who you are when no one is watching. As your awareness grows, you begin to see that everything is connected. Your habits shape your mindset. Your mindset influences your actions. Your actions determine your results. And your results influence the opportunities and people you attract into your life. Once you understand this chain, you realize that success is not an event. It is a process of alignment. When your habits, mindset, relationships, and values all move in the same direction, success is no longer something distant. It becomes something that naturally begins to approach you. As your journey towards success continues, there is a deeper truth you begin to understand. Success is not only about external progress, but also about internal strength. Many people focus only on results, money, status, or achievements, but they ignore the inner qualities that make those results sustainable. Without inner development, even success becomes unstable, because what is built externally without a strong internal foundation cannot last. One of the most important inner qualities is discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction or pressure, but in reality, it is freedom in its highest form. When you are disciplined, you are no longer controlled by emotions, impulses, or temporary moods. Instead, you are guided by purpose, direction, and long-term vision. That is what separates those who grow steadily from those who remain stuck in cycles of inconsistency. Most people struggle not because they lack ambition, but because they lack discipline. They know what they want, but they fail to act consistently in that direction. They start with energy, but when motivation fades, they stop. And every time they stop, they restart the same cycle again, never building enough momentum to reach meaningful progress. True discipline is not about feeling ready. It is about doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel in the moment. Feelings are temporary, but results are built through repetition. Every disciplined action you take strengthens your identity and moves you closer to becoming the person who naturally attracts success. Discipline also works like a muscle. At first, it feels difficult because it is underdeveloped. But with consistent use, it becomes stronger and more natural. Small decisions, repeated daily, slowly build the strength of self-control. Waking up on time, completing tasks you committed to, and avoiding distractions are simple acts, but they shape a powerful character over time. Another key factor that supports discipline is self-respect. When you respect yourself, you naturally start holding yourself to higher standards. You stop making excuses because you no longer want to break your own promises. Self-respect creates accountability, and accountability creates consistency. This is how real transformation begins. But discipline alone is not enough. Another essential quality is patience. In a world that moves fast and demands instant results, patience has become rare. Many people give up just before they are about to see progress because they expect success to happen quickly. When it doesn't, they assume something is wrong, when in reality, growth simply takes time. Success is not immediate. It is cumulative. It builds slowly, through repeated effort over time. Just like planting a seed, you do not see results the next day. You water it, care for it, and trust the process even when nothing seems visible on the surface. But underneath, growth is happening. The same is true in life. Every action you take may not produce immediate results, but it contributes to long-term progress. The problem is that most people underestimate the power of time. They expect short-term effort to create long-term rewards, but that is not how real success works. Patience does not mean inactivity. It does not mean waiting without effort. It means continuing to act even when results are not immediately visible. It means trusting that consistent effort will eventually produce outcomes, even if the timeline is unclear. Closely connected to patience is persistence. If patience is the ability to wait, persistence is the ability to continue despite challenges. Life will test your commitment. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. These moments are not signs to stop, they are tests of endurance. Persistent people are not those who never fail. They are those who refuse to quit after failure. Every setback becomes feedback, every mistake becomes a lesson, and every obstacle becomes a step toward improvement. Instead of breaking down under pressure, they adapt and continue moving forward. Persistence is what carries people through the hardest phases of growth. There will always be moments when progress slows down or becomes invisible. During those times, many people lose motivation and give up. But those who persist understand that progress is still happening, even if it cannot be seen immediately. However, persistence without direction can become wasted effort. That is why persistence must be combined with strategy. Working hard in the wrong direction leads to frustration. But working consistently with the right strategy leads to steady progress. Successful people understand this balance very well. They are persistent, but they are also flexible. They are committed to their goals, but open to changing their approach when needed. This adaptability is essential because life is constantly changing. What worked in one situation may not work in another, and those who refuse to adjust often struggle unnecessarily. Adaptability allows you to learn faster and improve your methods. It prevents you from becoming stuck in outdated thinking. Instead of repeating the same approach blindly, you begin to evaluate what is working and what is not. This awareness allows you to refine your path continuously. There was a point in my own journey when I realized that effort alone was not enough. I had to learn how to adjust my approach. Some strategies I used did not produce the results I expected, and instead of stubbornly continuing, I had to step back, learn, and change direction. That decision made a major difference. Instead of forcing a broken system, I focused on improving it. I started learning new skills, exploring better methods, and becoming more open to change. And slowly, my results began to shift because my approach improved. This is one of the most important lessons in success. Progress is not just about effort, but about evolution. If you keep growing, learning, and adapting, your results will naturally improve over time. But if you remain fixed in one way of thinking, your growth will eventually slow down. Another powerful quality that attracts success is attitude. Your attitude determines how you interpret challenges. Two people can face the same situation, but respond in completely different ways depending on their mindset. One may see failure, while the other sees opportunity. A positive attitude does not ignore problems. It acknowledges them but chooses to focus on solutions instead of frustration. It looks for lessons instead of excuses. It maintains hope even in difficult situations. And this mindset creates resilience, which is essential for long-term success. When your attitude is positive, you naturally attract better outcomes. People are drawn to positivity, opportunities respond better to optimism, and your own thinking becomes more creative and solution-oriented. This creates a cycle where better thinking leads to better action, and better action leads to better results. But a positive attitude must also be supported by responsibility. You cannot control everything that happens in life, but you can always control your response. Taking responsibility means accepting that your life is shaped more by your reactions than by external events. When people blame others or external circumstances, they give away their power. But when they take responsibility, they regain control. They stop waiting for change and start creating it. This shift in mindset is one of the most powerful turning points in personal development. Because at the end of the day, success is not just about what happens to you. It is about how you respond, how you grow, and how you continue moving forward despite challenges. And when you combine discipline, patience, persistence, adaptability, and a strong attitude, you begin to build the foundation of a life that naturally attracts success. And that foundation changes everything. At this stage of understanding success, everything begins to connect into one clear picture. you realize that success is not built from a single action or one breakthrough moment. It is the result of consistent alignment between your mindset, your behavior, your environment, and your values. When these areas work together in the same direction, your life naturally begins to move forward in a more powerful and stable way. One of the most important principles that ties everything together is contribution. Success is not something that is taken, it is something that is earned through value. The more you contribute to others, the more you solve problems, and the more useful you become, the more success starts to move toward you naturally. This is not theory, but a pattern that exists in every field of life. People often think success is about competition, but in reality, it is about contribution. Those who focus only on themselves often struggle to grow beyond a certain point. But those who focus on helping others improve, solving real problems, and creating value consistently find themselves rising without forcing it. Value creates demand, and demand creates opportunity. If you look closely at successful individuals in any industry, you will notice one common pattern. They are not focused on taking from the world, they are focused on giving something meaningful to it. Whether it is a service, a product, a skill, or leadership, they are always contributing in a way that improves the lives of others. This is why the size of your success is often directly connected to the size of the problems you are willing to solve. Small thinking leads to small problems and small results. Bigger thinking leads to bigger challenges, but also bigger rewards. Growth happens when you step into problems that require you to stretch beyond your comfort zone. But contribution alone is not enough if your character is weak. Character is the invisible foundation that determines whether success will last or collapse over time. Skills can bring success quickly, but only character can sustain it. Integrity, honesty, and consistency are what build trust, and trust is the real currency of long-term success. People may forget your achievements, but they never forget your character. If you are unreliable or inconsistent, opportunities will eventually stop coming your way. But if you are dependable and trustworthy, doors begin to open naturally. This is because success always flows toward environments where trust exists. One powerful truth is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. The small choices you make every day are a reflection of your overall character. If you cut corners in small tasks, that habit will eventually appear in bigger responsibilities. But if you develop discipline in small things, it naturally expands into larger areas of your life. This is why success is not built overnight. It is built in quiet moments when no one is watching. It is built in the decisions you make when there is no pressure, no audience, and no immediate reward. Those moments define your long-term direction more than any single achievement ever will. Another essential part of attracting success is leadership over your own life. Taking responsibility means you stop blaming external factors for your situation. Instead, you begin to focus on what you can control. This shift is powerful because it moves you from a passive mindset to an active one. When you take responsibility, you regain control over your future. You stop waiting for circumstances to improve and start improving yourself. You stop hoping for better opportunities and start creating them. This is the difference between people who wait for success and those who attract it. At the same time, success is not meant to be achieved alone. While personal responsibility is important, growth also requires connection. You need mentors, you need learning environments, and you need people who challenge your thinking. No one reaches high levels of success in isolation. Mentors play a powerful role because they show you what is possible. They shorten your learning curve by sharing their experience, mistakes, and wisdom. Instead of learning everything through failure, you learn through guidance. This accelerates your growth and helps you avoid unnecessary setbacks. Being around the right people also raises your standards. When you see others working with discipline, focus, and consistency, it becomes harder to remain careless with your own habits. Their example pushes you to rise. This is why environment is so important in shaping long-term success. However, success is not just about learning from others. It is also about continuously improving yourself. Growth is a lifelong process, not a temporary phase. The moment you stop learning, you start slowing down. But when you stay open to improvement, your potential continues to expand. A key part of this growth is maintaining a strong mindset. Your mindset determines how you interpret every situation in your life. A negative mindset sees problems as barriers. A positive mindset sees them as opportunities for growth. The situation may be the same, but the interpretation changes everything. A positive mindset does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing to focus on solutions instead of problems. It means refusing to give up just because things are difficult. It means believing that every challenge carries a lesson that can make you stronger. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for maintaining a positive mindset. When you focus on what you already have instead of what you lack, your perspective shifts. You begin to see progress instead of limitation. And this shift creates emotional stability, which is essential for long-term success. Alongside gratitude comes the importance of self-belief. If you do not believe in your ability to grow, you will never fully commit to the process. Belief does not guarantee success, but without belief, effort becomes inconsistent. You must first believe that improvement is possible before you can achieve it. Another key element is patience. Success rarely happens quickly. It is built slowly over time through repetition and persistence. Many people give up just before their breakthrough because they expect immediate results. But real success is the result of long-term consistency, not short-term effort. Persistence is what keeps you moving when motivation disappears. It is what allows you to continue despite failures and setbacks. Every successful person has faced moments of doubt, but what separates them is their refusal to quit. They continue until progress becomes visible again. Adaptability is equally important. Life constantly changes, and rigid thinking often leads to failure. Those who are willing to adjust their approach when needed are the ones who continue moving forward. Flexibility allows you to improve your strategy instead of repeating ineffective methods. Finally, everything comes back to one central idea. Success is not something you chase outside of yourself. It is something you build within yourself. When you focus on becoming disciplined, responsible, valuable, and consistent, success naturally begins to move toward you. You do not need to chase it. You need to become the kind of person it cannot ignore. And when that transformation happens, success is no longer a distant goal. It becomes a natural outcome of who you are.